Hello, everybody. Welcome back to World of Sports Podcast. I am back here after a vacation, among other things. So I'm sorry for the lack of uploading, but I am back. I also had an article on the NFL draft. So if you guys are interested, that's on my Medium page, which I will probably put in the description. So that was fun. I really enjoyed the draft. It was actually kind of boring this year compared to others, but anyways, let's move on to hockey. Let's talk about the recent series and the conference finals. So Colorado is taking on Edmonton. Wow, man. I mean, I'm really surprised Edmonton made it this far. And Calgary, once again, I feel really bad for them. I mean, this is a series they should have won. In all honesty, they had a clear goaltending advantage with Jacob Markstrom, and he didn't play great. I don't think he rose to the occasion. And I just think this was Calgary's series. Watching game one was probably one of the most interesting hockey games I've ever seen. I think it was 9-6, and Edmonton's goaltending was the worst display of playoff hockey goaltending I've ever seen in my life. Mike Smith and Koskinen were just, having these shots fired at him and would get like a piece of it and then it would go in. Like it was just such bad goaltending. And I just felt bad for Edmonton. I felt bad for their defensemen. I mean, you could see them like when some of those goals went in, they were just like, they put their head down and they were like, Jesus. So I am really surprised that Edmonton bounced back and won this series. But what I'm really happy about is Connor McDavid. He's really asserted himself. In past playoff performances, like when they lost to Chicago. I'm honestly trying to remember other times they've been in the playoffs, but that's the only one I can think of. He's been good, but he hasn't taken over. And in this series, he took over. He had a ton of points. I think he had a point almost every game. And he really just had some goals where he was just like, I'm going to win this series and I don't care. So that was great to see. I saw another funny tweet that said, just because Edmonton won doesn't mean, I forget the name of their GM, but doesn't mean that their GM/front office is good, which I totally agree with. That they've made some questionable moves. Congrats to them. But we're really going to see, is this mediocre goaltending gonna, can they make the Stanley Cup? Can they win the Stanley Cup with this mediocre goaltending that they have and a pretty solid decor? So I'm definitely interested to see that. And, conference finals, they get the Avs, who are the best team in the Western Conference, by far, in my opinion. The Avs actually were kind of challenged by the Blues, and impressive performance from the Blues. I had Minnesota beating them, just because Minnesota got Fleury, and the Blues won that series, and they really have some impressive players, and they bounced back since that cup. I've got two decent goalies in Ville Husso and Jordan Binnington. Binnington had one really, really spectacular game against the Avs. So he stepped up. Jordan Kyrie's awesome. Who else do they have? David Perron, one of my favorite players. He was great. And despite losing Vince Dunn, despite losing Pietrangelo, they're still pretty solid contenders. They gave Colorado some problems, and it wasn't an easy series for Colorado like I thought it would be. So very impressive, and I'm very impressed on their behalf from St. Louis, because I had them lose in the first round. But anyways, yeah, Colorado prevails in that. I thought it was going to be a sweep, but it wasn't, and I was impressed by St. Louis. So we've got Edmonton we've got Edmonton and Colorado. And personally, I honestly think this will go 6 or 7. I still think Colorado's going to win the series, but I think it'll go 6 or 7. I think McDavid will have 1 or 2 games where, he really takes over and asserts himself, and they just can't do anything about it. But I just can't take Edmonton winning this series with Mike Smith in net, and Koskinen. Mike's, you just, as a Carolina fan, I've also learned, you can't go deep into the playoffs with even mediocre goaltending, right? Like, we had Peter Mrazek, who was solid, but he just broke down in the conference finals. He's mediocre, and a good team will break down a mediocre goalie. Um, if Edmonton wants to win the series, their D-core is really going to have to step up, and it has so far. So, and they're going to just have to outscore Colorado. Kemper is good, but he's not one of the best goalies in the league. I thought he was good enough for Colorado to get the Stanley Cup, and that's why I took them to win the Stanley Cup. But Kemper's not like amazing like Shesterkin or Vasilevsky. So it's doable, but I just don't see Edmonton doing it just because they're goaltending. I also think like one last reason, I'm just picturing like these games are gonna be really close. Every goal is gonna count, and I think I can just picture like it being like 3-3 or 4-3 or something, and then Colorado could just get some like squeaker of a goal because Mike Smith stinks. So got Colorado, and let's just say 6 in that series. And yeah, let's move to the Western Conference or Eastern Conference. So moving to the Eastern Conference, we've got Florida and Tampa Bay. Obviously, they squared off. Tampa Bay once again just absolutely dominates, which is surprising. I guess. I think the first time it was in 5 games that they won, and this time they swept him. So I feel really bad for Florida, being one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, having home ice once again against Tampa and just getting their floor wiped. I still think Florida has a really good team. I guess they need more playoff experience. I don't really know. I mean, their team is really, really good. I mean, they had Ben Sherrod on their third D pair. I mean, that's a really impressive team. Their third D pair was Brandon Montour and Ben Sherrod. I mean, that's gross. Maybe play Spencer Knight, I guess, next. I don't know. It's tough. Tampa's really, really good, and that's why I have them beating the Rangers. Um, do the Rangers have a chance? I think so, just because Shesterkin is playing really well. But I mean, if you break it down, and this is what I was telling my friends is Carol. The Rangers basically barely got past Carolina, somewhat barely got past Colorado, Carolina, won 7 games, and we don't have good goaltending. Antti Raanta is good, but he's no Vasilevsky, and the Lightning are gonna have Vasilevsky, and the Lightning have also proven that home ice away playing on the road, it really doesn't matter for them. They can get it done, and they've gotten it done over those past 2 Stanley Cups. And their current cup run right now, I mean, beating the Leafs game 7, in Toronto, sweeping Florida, winning 2 against them, starting off 2-0, and then coming home. So I just think Tampa's too much of a wagon to not pick them. I mean, Kucherov, Stamkos, Braden Point is out, and they have lost Yanni Gord, and I think they lost somebody else, but I just can't think of it. Still got Sergachev, still got Hedman. They still have that core that's just killer and has won 2 Stanley Cups and potentially more. So, and of course they've got Vasilevsky, who I think is the best goaltender in this league by a pretty fair margin. So I got to go with Tampa Bay. And at first I was really mad just because, I was mad the Canes lost. We did better than the Rangers in the regular season. I thought we were the better team. And just to reflect on the Canes real quick, it's going to be a really new team. I mean, you've got Natchez, I think they need to sign, Trocheck, Brendan Smith, Tony D'Angelo, who else? Nino Niederreiter. I don't know what's up with Ethan Bear, but they're gonna have a really new team next year, and this was kind of their year to do it in a sense. It's too bad Freddie Anderson got hurt, but I don't know what lies ahead for them, and I do think we would have lost to Tampa in like 5 or 6, but nonetheless, I was disappointed. The only reason I'm apprehensive to take the Rangers is I'm just interested to see how their lower lines play compared to Tampa's, because Tampa's fourth line always gets the job done. They don't have Barclay Goodrow anymore. That's who I was thinking of, who is now plays for the Rangers. I'm just interested to see how the fourth lines compare. I do consider the Rangers' top lines to be elite with Panarin, Zibanejad, Chris Kreider. And then their defense, of course. I mean, the Rangers are the new Hurricanes in terms of defense. I mean, their defense is just absolutely nasty. And I've gained a lot of respect for Trouba. I think he's an awesome player. Keandre Miller is going to be a great all-star defenseman pretty soon. So really impressed with that. And then, of course, Shesterkin. So the Rangers definitely have a chance, but I think Tampa's going to win this. And I guess we'll talk about it after it happens. But those are my thoughts so far, and I guess I'll maybe do a cup analysis with Max and Malik after the cup's over. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and I'm gonna make a basketball video next.